He is a god of the game.
There is justice in sports if you are either a Danish football fan or a Kiwi cricket fan. Yes, Kane Williamson finally lifted the well-deserved World Cup. Spain put 5 past Slovakia, Ronaldo equals Ali Dai's goal-scoring record, and the knockouts are here!
Absolutely world class!
The business end of Euros is over. All the games have been played. All teams have played their games, and we have the final 16 who have gone to the next round ready and well laid out. Welcome to yet another episode of SportsCharcha. This is Bala here.
Eeshaan here. Hi guys.
Also, we have a very important discussion on what happened in the World Test Championship finals, which we all thought would be a dampener, but credit to those 22 players who made it into a result. But we'll talk about that later, but let's get on with our Euros. So as on when we finished our last episode, last recording, Group A's games were over. Now Group B and Group C, not many surprises there, apart from the fact how Denmark came back, won that game 4-1 and got qualified. Amazing story it was.
I think it's great. I think it's great for international football, and it's also great for the people of Denmark, because after that setback, I think no one would have blamed the team for not playing up to standards and not qualifying, but they actually used that as motivation. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm referring to what happened to Christian Eriksen, but use that as motivation to drive their team forward. And if you look at how they played in the last game, it was great to watch. Great football, convincing result. I think deservedly through to the knockout phases.
Yeah, amazing scenes also with their fans backing them. It was great to watch. It felt like there is some justice after all. Russia, well, they deserve to go out. I am not going to talk about that much. Finland gave a good account of themselves, but they lost to Belgium. I mean, Belgium's quality clearly came through and Finland fell short there. So there wasn't much surprise there. And next started Group C. Again, not much surprise. Netherlands had it easy over North Macedonia 3-0. Netherlands looking good or looking better or still the same?
I think, yeah, but you can't say too much out of a match against North Macedonia, with all due respect. I think also I just want to mention a nice touch by the Dutch team to honor Goran Pandev at the beginning of the match with the jersey, Dutch jersey. So that was a nice touch. But yeah, meaning you can't say anything special about Netherlands with that match. But they're going in with good form. But so are all the other big nations who have started firing just when it matters. So it'll be very interesting to watch how they perform in the knockouts. Will they continue that momentum, or how will that go?
Gini Wijnaldum have scored more goal than Marco van Basten for Netherlands.
Oh my God!
Two things. One, Gini Wijnaldum scoring more goals than him, and Mark van Basten have scored only 23 or 24 goals. Okay, it's still a great return. He has been only 60 games or something. But yeah, when you look at insane numbers like Ronaldo and Messi, 24 doesn't seem to be really big actually. These guys have spoiled us for good.
Yeah, they have really.
And the other game, Austria-Ukraine. Austria were the better team. Ukraine, again, they were extremely poor and deserved to go out. But luckily, thanks to that 4 best third place team rule, Ukraine have actually qualified. So from this group, we have 3 teams, Netherlands, Austria and Ukraine, all 3 qualified. And North Macedonia, unfortunately, went out finishing 4th. All right, so B and C, nothing much happened. Now let's move on to Group D. And I want to start this group's game with this line. And I'm probably going to name this episode this. It's called Outside of Modric's Right Foot.
That's true. Oh my God.
Nothing more beautiful than looking at Modric scoring that goal. If you guys haven't watched it, many would have already, because it's one of the brilliant goals of this tournament so far. It was a thing of beauty. I was just thinking about Modric, like what can I talk about him, what can I say about him? So I had this thought, there are these certain players, when they are in their zone, you can't do anything about it. The opposition can't do anything about it. Modric was not in that zone, but he was very close to being there against Scotland. their experience, Scotland's inexperience was actually exposed, and yeah, they lost that game.
I think because we're going to be talking about the World Test Championship as well. Modric reminds is a lot like Kane Williamson, you know,
True.
like one of the greats of the game. But I don't think anyone can not like him. Even the Barcelona fans applaud him because
Yeah.
there is no doubt that he is by far one of the best midfielders of our generation. But when he does things like, that goal, just the technique involved to hit it while the ball is in motion, first touch across the goal. I mean, he's done it all, right? He's won everything. But just to do it when it matters and do it that way, I think that's just unbelievable. I think it's one of the best goals this season, this Euros, and we've seen some great goals for sure
Yeah.
already. But I think just in terms of the technique involved in scoring that, amazing. And I think what also was very, amazing to watch with Modric as well as Perisic is that these are, highly experienced players who played, many years, won everything there has to be won in, club football. But the reaction they had, getting Croatia through when they were almost going to get knocked out, going down on their knees, it was just meant so much to them. And that's so great to watch in football. And I think that's what makes international football so beautiful.
Yeah, you're talking about that small footage of Modric's reaction after the
Yes.
final whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brilliant, pure emotions. So again, congratulations to Croatia, deservedly gone through. Again, as I said before, they were not good during their first two games. We all saw that, and some of us were even worried for Croatia. And Scotland, again, on the other hand, were very good. They played really good football. Yes, they didn't go through. They finished fourth. It was disappointing. But from a performance point of view, Scotland were actually pretty good. If you have to look at their game against Czech Republic, and especially against England too. But where they lacked is that international tournament experience. It might sound like a jazz thing for people, but we have watched international tournament and club tournament for a very long time to know that it doesn't mean that you do very good for your club team, doesn't mean you will do the same thing for your international team. Both are two different things. So it doesn't matter, like you have very good players who play for very good clubs in Scottish team, but as a group, as a team, they'll have to play against other internationally experienced teams. So that kind of got exposed. So they got that done. And Czech Republic and England, not a very great game. Yet again, a 1-0 victory for England. Jack Grealish played really well. Jadon Sancho was introduced a little later. A lot of people were questioning the decision of getting Bukayo Saka in instead of Jadon Sancho. But Saka had a great game. You can't blame Gareth Southgate for that.
Yeah, I mean, England, I don't know, man. Like, they still are, failing to match up to the type of squad they have. They're still playing like a squad full of defensive midfielders, and it's a little frustrating. I think just to go back to a little bit on Scotland, I think to give you an example of how, experience matters. Scotland, their best players are their defensive line. You've got Scott McTominay, Robertson playing, and it shows because they barely concede any goals. What their weakness is their forward line. And actually, in the McGregor, who scored against Croatia, was their first goal in a big tournament in 20 years. So
Yeah.
they were very unfortunate. So I think a big shout out to the Scottish national team about the heart they showed. Yes, they were underpowered completely, but they showed a lot of grit. But yeah, coming back to England, I think Jadon Sancho, I don't know what he has to do to just properly cement his place in the squad. Meaning, I think Gareth Southgate runs a risk that if this does not work out for England based on his strategy or whatever he's thinking, I have no idea what he is. He might alienate a lot of players to think about, what their place is in the squad and why does he need to be there. So I'm a little worried about that.
See, that's a risk I think many of the international managers run, especially a team where you have a lot of good players. Yes, England, they have a lot of 7 out of or 8 out of 10 players. They have one, maybe, based on what we have seen, we'll have to say Kane is probably the 9 out of 10 player from that lot. Rest of all, you'll have a lot of 7 and 8 out of 10 players. So
That's a good point.
he's going to run that risk anyway. See, he picked Grealish, he dropped Sancho. If he loses, Sancho fans will come and say, "Hey, you don't pick Sancho." They say if he picks Sancho and doesn't pick Grealish, Grealish fans will come and blame him like, "Hey, you didn't pick Grealish." I mean, and the English media is split right at the center on how England performed in their in this group stage. I mean, I know we are taking a little bit more time on Group D, but we just wanted to cover this point because. One part of the English media is very positive, saying that no, we didn't play our best football, yet we qualified 7 points, top the group, didn't concede a single goal. So there are a lot of positives to stake, and we have always seen over the years that international football are usually won by teams who are very good in defense, not necessarily they are very good in attacking. So I agree to those points. And then there is another side of argument that says that you know what, we didn't play against great oppositions and they are going to play Germany. We're going to talk about that. And one part of the English media feels that since they have been tied together in this defensive way of playing, they may not be able to express themselves against Germany and they may fall short in that game. So
yeah, you make a valid point about, they got the job done, and at the end it's the results that matter. They top the group, they qualify, and yeah, meaning as a fan, and especially as a neutral, I'm not an English fan. The squad they have, you sometimes feel that they are supposed to play a certain style of football. I think that's where the frustration lies with the large part of the world. But if you're looking at frustration, it is from fans of players, individual players, and not the team itself. There are, if you saw on Twitter, there, grid lines separated between Sancho fans, Grealish fans, not of England fans. England fans are more worried, focused on hey, we made it through. Let's move on. I think England needs a tournament where they're not making the headlines and just getting the job done.
Yeah.
I think that is probably their key to success. Where they're just being boring and grinding out results. I think that's fine. Because nobody's going to say, both of us will shut up if they reach the final somehow and get the job done. So I think, I agree with that.
All right, so that's with Group D. England finished on top. Croatia finished second, and Czech Republic finished third. So all those three qualify. Moving on to Group E, Spain finally scored 5 goals.
With 2 own goals.
2 own goals. I mean, see, agreed, Slovakia was abysmally poor. I mean, they just gave up. After the second goal, they just gave up. So Spain just ran them through. Did you see Luis Enrique's quotes in the pre-match press conference? So he said Spain's like a bottle of cava which is corked. So once you uncork it, you will see the football flowing and goals coming. Apparently that's what happened. Spain did score 5 goals. I mean, as he said, 2 own goals. The first own goal was a comedy of an own goal, and just before that, Spain missed a penalty. Morata missed a penalty, and it's the 5th consecutive penalty Spain have missed.
Wow.
In internationals. 5th consecutive penalty they have missed. Just don't go with this 5-0 result. I still fear for Spain.
Yes, I agree.
And one big positive that has come out for Spain in this group stage is Pedri. He was amazing. He was the one who was running the game. It was brilliant to watch him play that way. I mean, it's been a while since we have seen a Spain midfielder playing that way. So reminded me of those olden Iniesta days. But apart from that,
Pedri is an amazing talent, man. What a player. I think for club and country, he has a big future ahead of him.
Yeah, but moving on to the other game, which also gave 5 goals, but probably one of the best games of the last day, which is Sweden versus Poland, finished 3-2. When Sweden scored the 3rd goal, right? My reaction was, oh God, I felt so sorry for Lewandowski, because in my head I had this all narration like Lewandowski will score the 3rd goal, it will be a hat trick that will take Poland to the knockout, Lewandowski winning Ballon d'Or. I had all this narration in my head, but sab popat ho gaya.
Yeah, and then Ronaldo scored 2 goals saying, hey, Ballon d'Or, kisko dena hai?
But the 2 goals are brilliant, and Lewandowski missed a simple header. Like he was right in front of the goal, The ball bounced off the post. It came to him. He just had to head it. There was no one there, but he headed straight into the post. I mean, it was so disappointing to see that, but he came back and scored 2 goals. Disappointing for Poland. They are out, and this group ended with Sweden first, Spain second, Slovakia third, and Poland fourth. But Slovakia also didn't go through because of conceding 5 goals to Spain. They went behind in goal difference, so they are also out. So Finland and Slovakia are the two worst third place team to go out. And moving on to the group of death, it literally felt like group of death. The number of times the table kept changing throughout the 90 minutes of the both games was just amazing to see. Which one you were watching? I mean, I was flipping around both.
I was watching obviously the France versus Portugal game. Obviously, I had my loyalties in place. I have both Ronaldo and Benzema playing that game. But meaning, I saw the highlights of the Germany-Hungary game. That was actually a far more exciting game, to be honest, in terms of just the drama attached to it. The goalkeeping error which Hungary conceded, and then Germany leaving it late to qualify. It was a lot of drama attached to that. But coming back to the Portugal versus France game, what a game! But the game will always be remembered for the refereeing decisions. Matteo Lahoz. Oh my God. I mean, we've been complimenting refereeing this Euros because it's been a little different, but I think that just went out of the water. It was just, meaning I do not understand what happened. Like, literally, the game should have had one penalty, which was a legitimate penalty, and that was the one which was not given.
Yeah, that's true. The Bruno Fernandes foul, right?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
wow.
on Coman. That was, I think, one of the most clear-cut penalties I've ever seen.
Yeah.
That was not given. But the Mbappe penalty, meaning, oh God, meaning what was happening? And referee saying, okay, it's a penalty, but VAR is looking at it. And then there are 2 other referees on the VAR screen and they are saying it's a penalty. I mean, I was very surprised. But, Ronaldo did his job. He has 2 penalties. You barely see him miss penalties. He's now tied for the all-time goals scored in an international with Ali Dai. There was a nice exchange on Twitter between those 2 players. It was great to see. But, the match was about Karim Benzema and Cristiano Ronaldo. Great game. Benzema scored a great goal, his second goal. And coincidentally, if you see the stat, one interesting stat for you guys. He scored at the 46th minute, 22 seconds on both sides of the half.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, for all the trivia junkies, please take a note of this. You will see this a lot in many of the sports quizzes when you come across. This was a unique thing to happen. Agree to everything you just said. Portugal, France was good, but see, I still believe Portugal were a little lucky. France should have come out as winners of this game based on the balance of play. Again, they had a wonderful game. Pogba was brilliant. Kante, okay, he had a good game, but you will have to credit the guy whom we have been criticizing for almost 5 years for not living up to his potential, Renato Sanchez.
Yes.
I thought he was immense, especially against Pogba and Kante. You have to be a really, really good midfielder to engage with them both, and he was superb yesterday. And again, Portuguese's coach Santos went with that. This is something I was thinking about it because it's not easy to play with all 4, Ronaldo, Jota, Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes. He'll have to sacrifice one of them, and he did sacrifice the one who didn't have a great game over the last 2 games and put Renato Sanchez in there, and that made all the difference. But I still think Portugal hasn't hit their best, and I have slight worry. I slightly worry for them. Yes, they have great players. Obviously, you have Ronaldo and everyone, but there is something missing in that. So they'll be playing Belgium. We'll talk about that a little.
I think a quick shout out to Rui Patricio, who saved Portugal, because that one save of Pogba's amazing shot, and then a double save because he saved that, and then Griezmann got the rebound. He shot it again, saved it. I think that was one of the key moments of the game. Also, Pogba for playing for France is a different player. he is just unbelievable to watch. He's on another level. He's actually the midfielder I think everyone talks about when he plays for France. And yeah, France should have, as you said, correctly said, they should have won this game without a doubt. But all of them are through to the knockouts. It's now is when the test starts.
Yeah. Now talking about the team that finished second in this group, Germany, 2-2 versus Hungary. I mean, over the last 2 weeks, whatever happening on the political front from the Hungary side, I wasn't like a big fan of this team. But if I have to just look at their fans from a very core only football point of view, they were brilliant and they gave it all to their team, and unfortunately they didn't go through. The game ended 2-2 at one point. Hungary were leading 1-0. Germany scored the goal. It was a horrendous goalkeeping error. And within 45 seconds of the kickoff, the next kickoff, Hungary scored again. It was 2-1. It was an amazing game. I couldn't watch it completely. I was flipping around. But whatever I saw, the game was superb, man. It was brilliant to watch.
Yeah.
International football at its best it was. But yeah, again, Germany's quality came through. Kroos, again, went into that zone, played for about 20-25 minutes. He was literally unplayable. And that's when Germany got their second goal. So they finished second. France finished first, Portugal finished third, but again, they were one of those better third place teams. So that's about it for the group stage, guys. So that happened yesterday night. We are talking now on 24th June, Thursday night. So the round of 16, they're going to start on Saturday night Indian time, 9:30 p.m. and then later that night, 12:30, we have the second game. So likewise, you have games for 4 days that constitutes to 8 games from the round of 16. It starts with Wales versus Denmark. Wales again have a great opportunity to go into quarterfinals, but you cannot write off Denmark. After that inspiring victory, they'll be all charged up. This is going to be a wonderful game. Totally looking forward to it. Italy, Austria, any surprises? I think Italy, based on the form, you should expect Italy to go through.
Italy clear favorites for the game. Austria might cause them a little more trouble than the other teams in the group stages, but I still favor Italy to make it through to the next round.
Yeah, and followed by Netherlands, Czech Republic. Again, based on what we have seen, how Netherlands are playing right now, you should fancy. And if you see, Netherlands are on that side of the knockout side, or the knockout stage, where there is no Spain, there is no Italy, there is no Belgium, there is no France, there is no Portugal.
Yeah.
So Netherlands, England, Germany, they are all on that side. So it's a fairly easier, quote unquote, easier draw. I mean, if you go into the topic of all international knockout games are not easy, because the team who are playing have reached where you have reached. So that means they are also equally a good team as you. So I agree to that point, but on the balance of players, on the balance of bench and everything, you will have to say that is a slightly stronger side. Next is Belgium, Portugal. I am still going with Portugal here, because again, going back to the international experience,
You're favoring Portugal over Belgium.
I have a hunch Portugal's experience will come into play here. Players like João Moutinho, players like Ronaldo, Pepe, those guys will be the difference.
I think it'll be a very tight game, but I actually, however much I support Portugal, I feel Belgium will make it through, because I think Belgium has now, I think since the last World Cup, can do it in big game. They did it against Brazil, which I was pretty sure they wouldn't. Similar to what you're saying right now, I think De Bruyne, they have these big game players as well now. I think they will pull through. But as you said, if Portugal decide to play that day, finally with the type of players they have, it's going to be a test, because if there is one weakness in the Belgium team, it's their defense.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's going to be evenly played out. I still feel Belgium will go through.
Because that's where I think the game will be decided. Belgium's defense versus Portugal's attack. How well the back three of Belgium are going to handle Portuguese attack. So I'm in my hunches, Portugal will score, but you're going with Belgium. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
That game's followed by Croatia versus Spain. This could be a balanced game. Again, I don't have a clear favorites because both have shown both sides of what they are. I think this will go to penalties. This will be a boring drab nil-nil for 120 minutes and they'll decide it in penalties.
See, if it goes all the way, I favor Croatia just because they've done it before. When it matters, they are the more tenured team. If you ever have to say it in the in big tournaments, they're World Cup finalists. Don't forget. Yeah, the 5-0 is very deceptive that Spain had against Slovakia. It's not going to be the same game, and I think Croatia showed in their last game that they still have it. So I actually will go all in and say Croatia will knock Spain out.
Interesting, very interesting. Followed by that, we have France versus Switzerland. France, I'm not going to argue much on this. Do you have any other argument?
Yeah.
No. So let's settle France, move on. The game of this round, most of us are looking forward to it. I am looking forward to it. England versus Germany. The classic is back.
Yes, it is back and it is at Wembley. It is the big game. And I think Germany will be very happy that it's not in Germany. It is at Wembley where, everyone will be against them. And I think Germany do well. I actually fear for it. I actually, when I saw that match, when the draw came out, it went back, flashback to, I remember when both of us were watching Brazil versus Germany in Brazil. And I felt like, Brazil, there's no chance Germany is going to win this game. It's Brazil all the way. And we know how that match ended up. So I think Germany are capable of that. They did it to Portugal. If they play like they have in the last couple of games, England is not going to have it easy. Because England cannot score right now.
Yeah, true. See, from an English fan perspective, right, they were also thinking that out of France, Portugal and Germany, you pick Germany based on what you have seen so far. But Germany in knockout, they are a different animal. Like if you have seen how they have performed badly in many of the tournaments, they would have gone out in the group stage itself. Once they get into the knockout, they'll at least reach semi-finals. You can expect Germany to go through at least till semi-finals. Uske baad, we don't know what's going to happen, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. Hopefully, it will be a little more attractive and attacking than what I have seen with England so far. But let's see, it will be a great game to watch.
Yeah.
That is on Tuesday night Indian time, the 7th game. And this round ends with Sweden versus Ukraine. My only question in this game is who will play with yellow jersey?
Wow.
Both have yellow and blue.
That's a good point. But I think I don't even know what their away color is because they only play with this jersey. Yeah. And even the referee's clothes are yellow and blue.
Yeah. But this, I think, again, on the balance of play, we'll have to say Sweden. Ukraine was pathetic.
Yeah.
They qualified because there were two worse teams than them. That just not because they were better. So I'm guessing Sweden here. So yeah, a great round of 16 games we can expect. We will come back on Monday night, and by the time when we come back, we would have had 4 games done, and Croatia versus Spain, I think, should be going on when we talk about it. So Euros talk is done. And let's move on to a little sadder thing that happened in Indian cricket. Or I would say a good thing happened for world cricket with New Zealand cricket test team won the first ever world test championship. Deservedly so. Again, 5-day games, you can't talk about not deserving. You'll have to play good cricket across 5 days to win a 5-day game. But everything was decided within the first 1.5 hours of the 6th day play. Remember, guys, we had 6 days for this test match, the reserve day. And the one that we were talking about, the battle where the game will be decided, India's batting versus New Zealand bowling.
Yeah. And Kane Williamson doing Kane Williamson. Because, I mean, what a guy, what a player. Yeah, but I think it was a very interesting game. I never saw India actually have a chance. There was a moment when New Zealand were batting and, India were, got a shit ton of wickets. There was a fall of wicket flow and, India were back in the game. But I still didn't have that confidence that India can, bat another second innings, get a big lead up and actually grind out a result. And I think one of the points which we discussed before the match started was India's lack of patience. And we saw that it was for everyone to see on the sixth day when India were batting. All they needed to do was rotate the strike, get some form, get get the feel of the wicket, because the ball was moving, but it was not moving that much. And the bounce was very even, it was not erratic. So we just needed some patience. We expected that of Pujara. Pujara is having a really bad run of form. Shubham Gill is, I don't know what. I mean, so much potential, but not delivered. Virat Kohli again. Yeah, we were discussing that he's not scored a century for Yonks. And then Rishabh Pant, man, like when he came on to bat, I don't know what the hell he was trying to do. He goes into a phase where every opponent he thinks is Australia, and he'll get lucky, but this was not to be. But I think it was fair. It was one thing I want to bring in before we get to your views on this is Virat Kohli after the game saying that if it's a Test championship, it should not be a one-off game. It should have been a series. What do you think about that?
I said the same thing last time. I also said it should be a series. So Virat Kohli.
Yeah, I was against it.
I think Virat Kohli and I think the same way. Maybe he must have listened to our podcast. Who knows?
I agree.
But everything as you pointed out, we lack patience. The starting of the sixth day morning, it was all bright sunshine. The pitch was looking good. The ball, as you said, wasn't moving much. I expected them to see off the ball for the first 1 hour, and then gauge the situation, and then play your shots, play a game. I was expecting to see a very good game of Test cricket after a while, after a lot of rain interruptions. But it was all spoiled. I mean, spoiled for us because we are Indian fans. But from the New Zealand perspective, amazing. The way they executed the plan to each and every player was immense. It was not just because they have great players. I think they were very well prepared, and they were very well prepared for this set of players, for this Indian team.
Yeah.
The specific kind of plan, the line and length they were maintaining for different players were amazing. Just to give an example, the way how Jadeja got out, he was set up amazingly by Neil Wagner. He kept banging in, and then Zook, one ball he left out, he nicked it. So it was amazing. See, most of us, I usually, when I used to watch Test cricket a while ago, I like gritty batting. I like to see a session where someone bats really well, because that requires a lot of patience and stuff. But over a period of time, you start watching a similar kind of effort goes into bowling also. It's not that a Test bowler bowls every ball to pick a wicket.
Yeah.
You set up a batsman. You set up a batsman for 5 deliveries, 6 deliveries, 7 deliveries, even for overs, and then you nick that one ball, nick that one delivery. It was pinnacle.
That's what's great about Test cricket, right? It's so much strategy. It's like if you look at the highlights, Neil Wagner had one key role, was to rile the batsman up and make them uncomfortable. He was not designed to take wickets. If he does, that's a bonus, because batsmen would be so uncomfortable against him. For any other bowler, they would try to score off them and then eventually make a mistake. And if you look at it, the man of the match, Kyle Jamieson, he would, if you put down a list of bowlers from New Zealand to take most wickets, you would probably not name him. You would probably name Saudi, Bolt, or even Wagner. But all he did was bowl after these three superstar bowlers, where they just made the Indian batsmen so uncomfortable. Then they tried to score off Jamieson and made a mistake, edged it. If you see Kohli, one of Kohli's biggest flaws we've seen over the years is him prodding at that ball just off the length, and he more often than not nicks it.
Yeah.
He did the same, and he batted more than enough time with Kyle Jamieson during his RCB days. He knows exactly what's going to happen, but still making that mistake was, I think, just a lapse in concentration. And I think if you had to define the game, it was India not being concentrated enough.
A disappointing end for us Indian cricket fans, but I would say this is the happiest all Indian cricket fans have been after losing a World Cup finals. Because the team who won it have all their blessings, all our blessings. Kane Williamson is like Ghar ka ladka. When he comes to India, he'll be treated like an Indian, maybe better than an Indian gets treated in India.
I agree. Meaning, I think one of the commentators when they won was he got really emotional about saying, when very few times in life good guys win, and this is that one of those times, and that's so true. You cannot not like the New Zealand team, and they deserve it. So
Yeah.
congratulations to them.
Yeah, just to round off, this is what Simon Dole exactly said. For once, nice guys do finish first. That was his
So
final.
much pain in that, right? So much pain in that.
Yeah.
Saying that.
Yeah, I mean, he must have seen a lot of New Zealand teams trying to be there, and I mean, we have seen New Zealand they're always this perennial semi-finalist in World Cups, and then they played two finals and lost both of them. Good, and again, can't say enough of how they lost the World Cup final in 2019. I mean, I don't know,
Unbelievable.
it's still not out of my system. Even I'm not even a
I
New
feel
Zealand
that was
cricket fan.
one of the greatest days in sports for in my lifetime, because England versus New Zealand was going on, and Roger Federer versus Novak Djokovic was going on at the same time, and both were probably one of the greatest matches of their respective sports ever at the same time in the same city.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
Great. All right. So, congratulations to New Zealand team, and that's about it for the World Test Championship. Okay, let's get to the speed point. We'll again give our usual Copa America quick update. Brazil have qualified. They have won the three games. The latest is a victory against Colombia 2-1. They were 1-0 down. If you can see the game, it was an overhead kick. I mean, not a spectacular overhead kick. I mean, still an overhead kick. And then
It's a great goal. It was a great finish because it was an overhead kick on a fast cross. So it was a great goal. But then Brazil came through in the 99th minute when Casemiro scored. I saw that game actually.
Oh.
I thought I should see Brazil play if I can't call them my favorite team if I don't watch a single game. So I saw that game. So yeah, meaning easy. Like obviously they're the favorites. They're playing far superior than anyone else. So yeah, great game.
So that's about it from Copa America. And quick updates, anything on the player and the manager transfer side? I think Tottenham are still searching for a manager. I just saw some news that they tried to get Lopetegui and Lopetegui said no. One more manager.
Oh my God.
Tottenham are not able to round up. From the player side, no confirmed transfers have happened ever since we last spoke. The transfers that were supposed to happen are still supposed to happen again. If I have missed any major transfer that has happened, please.
I think the only one which is almost done is Ashraf Hakimi to PSG on a record deal. The other, I think Fabrizio Romano tweeted today that the Messi renewal is almost all but confirmed to 2023. Few details remain. I'm guessing those few details involve around how much of a salary reduction Messi will accept. Because he will have to accept it if Barcelona have to stay afloat. Otherwise, call it Messi FC, because he'll be the bulk of their money. But that's good news. I personally, as a Real Madrid fan, would hate to see Messi go anywhere else. I cannot see him play with any other club. So if this is true, I'm very happy. He deserves to end his career at Barcelona.
Great. So that ends our speed point and that ends our episode also. But before finishing the episode, I just want to read some stats about this Euros that has happened. I collected some of them, some interesting ones with respect to how great and how attacking and how attractive this Euros has been so far. So out of
These are moments of Bala's arousal. Stats.
To start with, 94 goals in 36 games. It is an average of 2.62 goals per match. In fact, yesterday's set of games, those 4 games had 18 goals. It's the highest ever for a single day in the history of Euros.
Wow.
And Euro 2016, the average goal was 1.92. This one is already 2.62. So far, there have been 6 penalties missed, which is again a highest ever. 8 own goals so far.
Wow.
The previous editions of all Euros combined have had only 9 own goals. This year alone we have had 8. And there have been 2 games where there were 2 own goals in those games.
Wow.
So this is bonkers. And on that note, we would like to end this great episode, our Euros episode, and we'll come back on Monday night Indian time where we'll have the results of the first 4 games done, and we'll talk about that then and anything happen in the world of sports in the next 2-3 days. Goodbye, everyone, from Bala.
Bye, guys. Have a great weekend and see you on Monday.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, and also please, like they're literally begging, to rate our podcast on whichever app you are listening to. It not only helps us, but also new listeners to easily find our podcast. You can also reach out to us on Twitter @SportsCharcha. A big shout out to the Jam Room Audio for our theme music. You can follow the Jam Room on Facebook @the Jam Room Audio. Bye.